All right, so question 9 asks us to draw and explain one graph that represents person's VO2 response to high-intensity interval training. And this is going to be that graph. So you can see here on the left side, I started by labeling the x-axis with VO2. This is going to be the measure of somebody's rate of oxygen consumption. The units I use for it are liters per minute. So you can see that the x-axis is scaled accordingly from 0.5 to 4.0 up here. So starting this graph, we start right here. And we're going to have the person working out a low intensity, relatively low intensity for a warm-up set at 3 miles per hour. And we're going to see right here that their rate of oxygen consumption is going to start increasing. As it does right here, you should know that the ATP and PCR system is doing the bulk of the work resynthesizing ATP to be used for muscle contraction. That's in that like first 30 seconds area-ish. For the next about 2 to 3 minutes period, we got the other anaerobic metabolic systems. The glycolytic systems are going to be the major contributor to ATP resynthesis right about here, or until right about here, when the aerobic systems, ETC and Krebs cycles start taking over the majority of the duties for ATP resynthesis, and they do so for any kind of time of activity that extends past like this 2 to 3 minute period. So they're doing the bulk of work right there. And oxygen consumption levels out right here. That's because we've reached a point where the aerobic systems are they have enough oxygen to use to resynthesize enough ATP at this rate right here, because they're at a constant intensity. But as soon as we increase the intensity, we're going to see that VO2 consumption increase a lot. So it's going to go up as the intensity increases. So we're going to increase them to about 9 miles per hour. So it's pretty hard. They're going to be working pretty close to their max effort and O2 consumption. So once we push them up there, we see that it's going to increase gradually, and in that time, ATP and PCR and the glycolytic systems are working very heavily to resynthesize ATP, while the aerobic systems are not working as hard. They're actually readjusting and gathering more resources so they can sustain that activity level for a longer period of time past this point. So they don't actually get fully up and running at this point. And then we take the intensity back down before they even really can, right there, and then your oxygen consumption lowers again to get back to a level that suits the lower intensity we're at, back at 3 miles per hour here. And then that person's going to be working out at that intensity for another 4 minutes until we increase the intensity again on them for 60 seconds to 9 miles per hour, which the same thing happens. ATP, PCR are going to be doing a lot of work. The anaerobic processes are going to be doing a lot of work right here. The aerobic processes are not. And then but ETC and Krebs are going to be working more and more so up until this point where everything starts going back down again because we decrease the intensity and we stop the workout right here. If it were to continue, it would just keep going down to resting.